So I was reading this article, and basically they were talking about the blackout of 2003 up in New York, and it kind of opened my eyes to what was going on at the time, right after 9/11 in New York, as far as the atmosphere of the city. So when I think about New York, I think about people telling me that people are rude, and it's kind of like every man for themselves. It's not a lot of hospitality as far as how people act, and so that's just the common I don't know if it's a misconception or it's actually true. I've never been to New York, but I had a professor once in college. She pretty much was confirming that that's what it was. So, like I said, I never actually experienced. I never been in the city walking around New York to experience the people. So I really don't know if that's true or not. But the article was saying that because they had just gone through 9/11, that it was a different atmosphere in the city. People were more, had more of a brotherly love, we're gonna stick together as New Yorkers type vibe at the time, and which is understandable because it was very traumatic. 9/11 was very traumatic for me to see that play out on television. It was an unreal experience just watching it on television, and seeing some of the news, some of the things that people was going through over there. But going back to the article saying that blackout of 2003 was one of the biggest blackouts in probably the past 100 years over there. Not just over there, across the country, because it affected so many people. I think they said it was like 50 million people were affected. Power went out. So you're talking about a grid that massive. Um, it was felt by a lot of people. Had to um, go through that um, for almost 24 hours. And in that time span, a lot of things occurred. What occurred first was the power went out right at um, the beginning of rush hour traffic. So we know, hey, New York has bad traffic. It's a lot of people there, of course. It's going to be a lot of cars in the road. But when you add no stop signs working, I mean, traffic lights going out, now it's a backup. It's, cars are stuck. No one's going nowhere. So now people are stuck in their vehicles. People are just, after so long, one guy said he just got out the car and started walking. He said he was just going to try to make it on foot. Well, he never made it to where he was going. He ended up just crashing out on the sidewalk. He got tired of walking. So, which ultimately, that's what happened. And because it was in the summertime, at the time, they were going through a heat wave. And so, north and northeast part of the state, the country was going through a heat wave, and this was a huge blackout. So it spanned southern Canada, all as far south as I think they said Pennsylvania, and then I think as far west as Detroit in Michigan. So this was a pretty big blackout. The grid, I didn't even realize we shared a grid with Canada. So some of the events that also occurred that night was that with the heat wave, people just had to leave and file into the sidewalks. The houses were too hot. The ladies, I mean, one lady said that the house was so hot and dark, she just felt unsafe being inside her apartment building. So she brought the whole family. They spent the night out on the sidewalk. Most people did that night. Which the article was hitting it like that night was the night where homeless and rich were alike. Everybody slept on the sidewalk. It was just too hot, and so you had thousands and thousands of people lined up on the sidewalk, that night, trying to get some type of air circulation, some type of, break from the heat. So when you think about not having AC and 100-degree heat, I definitely can relate. Being here in Texas, last summer we got hit with a hurricane. We were out for a week. Our power grid went out for at least 5 days. Some people for 7-8 days. And I know I was displaced. I had to pack my family up, and we had to go somewhere else where there was power, and just post up over there until the power got cut back on at our home. And that was a few days. We were displaced. So it's a traumatic experience. Anytime you don't have that comfort, and you think about the AC systems, and you think about how much we actually rely on controlled climate in our homes, it's major, because I feel like personally it's one of the greatest advancements we've had as people in the past 100 years. I can't even tell you what it would be, what could compare to that. But like I said, our grid, our infrastructure is, I think, sometimes taken for granted. And anytime there's a blackout, that's when people start really appreciating what they have. Like I said, if you don't have some type of backup power source, then you really just you're at the mercy of the power company at that point. And all you can do is sit tight, listen for an update, tune in to the radio station until there's something, until they could give you an ETA on when that power is going to be back up. Other than that, if you're prepared, you probably have some type of backup power source, like a generator or something. I know I have one, and I actually have a little window unit and storage where I can get to it real quick. Because if that AC goes out and we can't move around, I'm hooking my little window unit up to my generator. At least we can have some cool air, and we're not just sitting in a vehicle. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. In those situations, if you're gonna, sit in the car, let the car run. Just do it safely. Don't sit in your car in the garage. The garage door closed, because that's one of those chain reactions that happened in New York. People were lighting candles for light, and it was more fires that night than the fire department could remember, just in the borough of Brooklyn. So the article had a lot of information, a lot of good information. It was a time in my life. I had just graduated from college in 2002, and in 2003, I don't think I kept up with the news. I think I was just out trying to get it at that point. I was fresh out of college, and I was applying for jobs and trying to get myself together. But I don't remember much from 2003. I'm gonna be honest with you. But the article did help me kind of like remember, okay, some of the things that were going on in the world. Very, very informative. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment. This is the dedicated advocate. Peace.